Hi, I'm Andrew Dash, and I'm an audioholic. In fact, I've had a lifelong struggle with subwoofers. Sometimes I've been impressed with smaller subs that perform well for their size, and certainly I can appreciate a small sub that plays low. But if you really want the most performance, you're going to need a big sub, or two or three. Now today we're looking at one of Velodyne's newest subs, the EQ Max 15, and it's big. As the name suggests, it's a 15-inch subwoofer that, while larger than most of the products you'll find that try and cater to the less is more crowd, this sub actually puts it all out there, unashamed. Kind of like Lady Gaga, except square. Anyway, the driver is a 15-incher, and what makes that a big deal is that, other than Velodyne's digital drive series, this is the only other 15-inch sub that they make. So what's under the hood? Well, it has a 750-watt digital amplifier, which can hit 1,500 watts of dynamic power. And just as a side note, that's 525 watts more power than the next model down, the EQ Max 12. So if you're sitting on the fence as to which one to buy, for an extra $240, you get a lot more power and slam. Now, power is a large factor in subwoofer performance, but the EQ Max also reaches down to 23 Hz, give or take 3 dBs, which doesn't seem very low until you notice that the full spec has it reaching 14 Hz at its lowest. Cranking up the old SPL meter, and we put in a test disc and measured it going down to well below 20 Hz in room. Now, we'll have a much more detailed measurement report that should be published shortly after this video review. The output of the sub is pretty impressive, and it has two ports that fire out the bottom of the sub via two flared openings. Now inside, we noted a lot of dampening material, but not internal bracing, no internal bracing, apart from what appeared to be very well glued seams and corners. Now that's an area that could use some more polish, particularly given the size of the enclosure. Now on the back, you've got your connections, which include your speaker level input and outputs, so that you can use the subwoofer as your crossover. This is perfect for integrated amplifiers or two-channel systems, as well as satellite speakers that would benefit from the 80 Hz 6 dB per octave crossover. Of course, there are also stereo RCA line inputs and outputs, as well as the variable high-pass crossover control. But volume is handled by a couple of push buttons to send it up or down as needed. Now I say that, but really I'm talking about the onboard controls, because the EQ Max subs also come with a remote and microphone. And I'm not just telling you that because you can sing karaoke with it. No, wait, no, you can't sing karaoke, and I didn't try. Moving on. What you can do, though, is use the mic and set it up by putting it in your listening position, and then you'll hold down the EQ button on the remote. This runs 12 20 to 150 Hz sweep tones from the sub and calibrates the internal 5-band digital EQ to compensate for peaks and dips in the frequency response due to the room and subwoofer placement. The process is super simple, and there's a blue LED screen on the front of the sub that gives status as well as indicating the current volume level. It was at this point that we noticed something missing, namely a bypass feature for the EQ. Now, most people won't need to do anything other than perhaps rerun the EQ for a new location, but we wanted to flatten out the sub's EQ before doing any measurements. We called tech support, and they told us that you have to reset the EQ, and to do that you use the preset buttons on the bottom of the remote. Pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1 will reset it back to factory standards, and it worked. Some of the lowest bass frequencies we hit were with tracks from Switchfoot's Beautiful Letdown album, where This Is Your Life absolutely slammed our listening room when the low bass synth notes kicked in during the intro of this track. Then we queued up Yellow the Eye and dialed in their first track, Planet Dada. At this point, the output of the air from the subwoofer began to far exceed the amount issuing forth from the ceiling fan above me in the room. This was chest-thumping bass, clean and clear and not at all boomy, but more akin to San Francisco earthquake kind of intensity, and I've been there. And it's the kind of bass that makes you wonder if your heart is actually starting to beat in sync with the sub. And the volume was only at 25. It goes to 80. Okay. Anyway, we also watched a bunch of movies to see how well the EQ Max did with film soundtracks. As you'd expect, a sub that does fairly well with music isn't typically going to drop the ball on explosions, gunfire, and film scores. For our testing, we cranked up oldie but goodie scenes like the 100-Mile Dash chapter in The Incredibles, and also newer movies like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. The depth and percussive nature of this sub was really impressive. We can't say enough about the EQ Max 15 sub. I mean, it's deep, powerful, musical, and competitively priced at just $989. So if you're sub shopping, you'll want to make sure to put this one on your short list to consider. Listen, if you liked this video, please go ahead and hit the like button in YouTube and subscribe to our channel so we can be sure to bring you more great reviews. Also, reach us at facebook.com/audioholics or via Twitter at AudioholicsLive.